Hello, my name is Anitarky and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to support it. Subscribe and comment. The story begins with a teenager named Orimura Ichika who accidentally discovers her hidden talent. She can use infinite stratos that only girls can use. So Ichika is forced to enter the infinite stratum school and become the only one. Student. The first day Ichika entered school, she became the center of attention of all the students. Then came a teacher named Orimura Chifuyu. She is Ichika's older sister. Not only that, Chifuyu is very famous for all her great achievements in the past, and that's why the students are surprised by her. When Ichika felt alone, a childhood friend came to him. Her name was Houki. They talk about their past since they haven't seen each other in a long time. You can see that Houki has had feelings for Ichika since she was little until now. Then in class, a student from an aristocratic family approached Ichika. Her name was Cecilia. Cecilia explains that she is a representative of England because Ichika does not know anything about infinite stratos, which bothers Cecilia. After arguing with Cecilia, he went to his room. Ichika will share a room with Houki. Of course, they were both in shock, and Houki wanted to hit him because he had seen his beautiful foreign body. He wants to ask a representative to participate in the class tournament next week. The students chose Ichika as a representative, but Cecilia didn't accept that, so she challenged Ichika to fight her later in the fight. Ichika will get a personal infinite stratos to fight Cecilia. The personal infinite stratos is very rare and only used by great people. Of course, Cecilia also has her own infinite stratos. Ichika asked for Houki's help to teach him about infinite stratos. Houki immediately trained him and even gave him kendo training. After that, Ichika gets her infinite accelerators named by Akashiki. The Kaka only needs to touch infinite stratos to understand how to use infinite stratos so that Ichika is ready to fight. With Cecilia, when the fight starts, Ichika is cornered by Cecilia's continuous fire. Even though he was shot, his infinite stratos was still in normal mode. But this time his infinite stratos has gone into serious mode and is stronger than before. When Ichika wanted to launch her strongest attack to defeat Cecilia, suddenly her shield's energy ran out. That's because Ikea abused the power of infinite stratos, so she ran out of energy in the end. The duel was won by Cecilia after Shifuyu explains that Ichika has used Yukihira's anti-shield sword to defeat the opponent with a single blow. But it takes a lot of energy to use these weapons. Even though Cecilia won the battle, she was able to manage to win Cecilia's heart. The next day of practice, Ichika and Cecilia are asked to show them how to drive an infinite stratos. Cecilia easily blew up her infinite stratos, while Ichika, who is still a beginner, suddenly goes out of control and falls from a great height. Cecilia, who was worried, immediately approached Ichika to see if she was okay. Fortunately, Ichika was not injured. After that, they held the election as class representative because Cecilia decided to resign and gave her the representative. Then there was news that another student transferred would be in the next class. It turned out that he was one of Ichika's acquaintances. His name was Rin and she was a Chinese representative. During recess, the two talked to each other in the cafeteria. Pika explained the reason why she was there. When Ichika wanted to drink high school entrance exam, he went straight to the infinite stratos warehouse. Ichika, who was curious, immediately touched the infinite stratos there, and suddenly the infinite stratos reacted after being touched by Ichika. Meanwhile, Cecilia and Houki were upset seeing the two of them there at night. Rin met them in the dorm. Rin also wanted to switch places with Houki. Not only that, Rin wanted to make Ichika his own, to his promise in the past. Meanwhile, the callous Ichika made the situation worse by forgetting his foreign promise, so Rin was determined to fight Ichika during the inter-class battle later, and the loser must fulfill all the winner's demands. Few days later, Ikaka's fight against Rin begins. Rin continues launching consecutive attacks towards Ichika, but thanks to the advice of her older sister, Pika began to dominate infinite stratos. Well, she avoided Rin's attacks and turned things around, but suddenly there was a shot that destroyed the arena's shield, so the match was temporarily stopped. The mastermind behind the explosion was a pilotless infinite stratos controlled by someone from far away. Ichika and Rin decide to work together. Unfortunately, their attacks don't work. Pika's strategy is to defeat him by absorbing Rin's attack power, and Yukihira's sword power strengthens my morning. Even though he managed to get stronger, his attack was only able to cut off one hand of the infinite stratos when Ichika was almost dead. Cecilia came to protect him, but that infinite stratos could still survive all of Cecilia's attacks. Finally, Ichika used all his strength, remaining energy in a final attack. He defeated him even though he was almost killed. After Ichika was admitted to the hospital and accompanied by Rin because Rin was alone and intended to kiss Ikaka, but he started to wake up, and even Cecilia and Houki visited Ichika, so the three of them fought over Ichika during the holidays. Ichika met her friend named Dan. They played together, and at the same time Ichika told her about her school. Then Dan's younger sister came. She ran and blushed when she met to Ichika because she had feelings for Ichika, but unfortunately Ichika is very insensitive, so a teacher came to meet Ikaka with Houki. Her name was Maya. Mayor asks Houki to move because boys can't share a room with girls, so Houki complied with the teacher's words. Instead, she wanted to ask Ichika to go out with her if Houki won the foreign tournament. On the other hand, 3 girls heard the conversation and immediately spread it to all the students. The next day, the students think that the winner of the tournament will have a date with Ichika. Then there was a representative transfer student from France named Charles. Charles introduced himself as a boy. Of course, that excites the girls who want to make him their girlfriend. After that, they started studying in the countryside, but Maya instead fell from a height and landed right on Ichika. In the end, Ichika accidentally touches her tits. Then Ran and Cecilia will practice against Maya. Unexpectedly, Maya is so strong that easily the two of them, after the lesson, Charles will share a room with Ichika because they are both boys. The next day, there was another transfer student that she was a student of, Chifuyu, named Laura. Suddenly, Laura slapped Ichika and explained that she didn't recognize Ichika's as Fuyu's younger sister because she seemed weak. Then Ichika and Charles train together, but Charles easily defeats Ichika because Ichika is a close combat type and has difficulty getting close to enemies who use rifles. Charles also advised that Ichika could suddenly face opponents who use rifles. Laura came to meet them, and this time Laura challenged Ichika to fight her foreigners, but a guard stops her and asks them not to fight there after the lesson. Ichika returned to his room, accidentally saw Charles, who was taking a shower. It turns out that Charles is a girl. Seeing Charles's beautiful body made the atmosphere uncomfortable in the end. Charles also tells the reason why he disguised himself as a boy. It turns out that his father told him ordered to have a close relationship with Ichika by disguising herself as a boy so that Charles could investigate everything about Ichika. If Charles disobeyed her father's orders, then she would be punished. Knowing this, Ichika advises Charles to keep his identity a secret because being in Strata School Infinity is safer and protects her from her father's threats. The next day, Cecilia and Rin were practicing to prepare to participate in the tournament, but Laura came to interrupt them and used a mid-range infinite Stratos because Laura is a student of Chifuyu. Of course, her combat skills are powerful and she won overwhelmingly against the 2 foreigners, but their attacks didn't work on Laura. See, you're welcome. Finally, Chifuyu immediately stopped Laura and advised them to continue fighting during the tournament. After that, Cecilia and Rin were seriously injured from the previous battle. The students came to meet Ichika. It turned out that they wanted to be in a team with Ichika to participate in the tournament together, but Ichika rejected them all because Ichika had chosen Charles as his teammate. And then the tournament day, and they were surprised because their first opponent was Laura and Houki, while Houki also did not expect that his partner would be Laura. The first battle begins. The cooperation between Ichika and Charles is excellent. They managed to corner Laura, but Houki protected her very well. Meanwhile, Laura does not care. Houki attacked her partner until she fell and could not continue the fight. After that, the two launched an attack on Laura together, and the attack managed to wound Laura's infinite stratum so that her infinite stratos could not continue the fight. Don't follow me. However, in Laura's eyes, a nanomachine can provide force for her infinite stratos to envelop Laura's body. Finally, she took the form of Chifuyu. Seeing this, Ikaka got angry because he tried to imitate his older sister, so Charles gave Ikaka the remaining energy with that. Ikaka could still fight even though she could only use one hand, I think sang it, but the attack managed to save Laura, who was trapped in the infinite stratos. After that, Laura was hospitalized and accompanied by Chifuyu while Ikaka and Charles enjoy a bath together. Charles also wants to show his body to Ikaka so he can fall in love with her beauty. The next day, Charles discovers her identity and becomes herself as a woman named Charlotte. Of course, everyone was surprised. There was even a rumor that Charlotte had taken a bath. With Ikaka knowing this, Rin, who is jealous, immediately hits Ikaka, but Laura protects him and even immediately proposes to Ikaka to become a foreign husband and wife. And it turns out that Tabani is the creator of infinite stratos. That's why Hawk asked him to create infinite stratos for her. Of course, Tabani had predicted this and had made endless trips specifically for Hauki called Akatsubaki. On the other hand, Charlotte asked Ikaka to accompany her shopping. Of course, the other girls also followed them, knowing that they were being watched. Charlotte immediately took Ikaka to the swimsuit store. Charlotte immediately showed her the swimsuit of her choice and asked Ikaka's opinion. However, they were both caught, so Maya scolded them. After that, they arrived at the beach. They relaxed and enjoyed the beach together. Laura at night, Cecilia, who was not used to eating with chopsticks, was helped by Ikaka to feed her. Of course, the other girls were jealous of her closeness because Ikea made a commotion asking Cecilia to go to her room after eating. When Cecilia went to Ikaka's room, another girl was eavesdropping on Ikaka's conversation with Chifuyu because they heard Chifuyu's voice. Feeling satisfied, they thought that Ikaka and Chifuyu were kissing, but in reality Akiko only massages Chifuyu. That's great. The next day, Hauki was looking at Taiwanese belongings in the yard. Hauki also ignored the object while Ikea, who was curious, immediately took out the object. Suddenly a carrot fell right in front of him and inside was Tabini, who was looking for his sister. Then Tabini showed them Houki's special infinite stratos. She immediately piloted her infinite stratos, which is very strong because it is the latest product made by Tabini. Suddenly they entered a level mission because there was an infinite stratos without pilots out of control. They immediately came up with a plan to deal with it. This time Ichika launched the last attack to finish with infinite stratos because his ultimate attack was the most powerful of the others. The mission begins. Ichika and Houki carry out the mission quickly. Houki was able to find the runaway infinite stratos. We go and then they chase the infinite stratos until Houki stopped his movement. Ichika, who saw a ship there, immediately protected it from Strato Infinite's fire. Houki also asked Thika to ignore the ship because she was a pirate. However, Ichika also said that Houki had changed after gaining power. She didn't even know herself and forgot about the weaker ones. The Kalki people also realized their mistake in catching her off guard. But Ichika immediately protected her from Infinite Strato's attack. Laughter, Liquor fainted because he was seriously injured. Ultimately, the mission was aborted. After that, Rin met Houki, who was sad because he felt guilty about the previous incident. She wanted to stop using infinite stratos. Upon hearing that, Rin immediately slapped Houki, upset by Houki's childish attitude. Rin advised her to fight alongside them because Houki's strength was necessary to defeat the previous infinite stratos. Then another girl came to their meeting and they also intended to take revenge and find infinite stratos out of control. Even though they disobeyed Chifuyu's orders at night, they had managed to find the lost control of infinity strato. The battle was quite fierce. They jointly attacked infinite stratos. On the other hand, Ichika dreams of meeting to a girl. She asked Ichika to awaken immediately. Not only that, but there was also the legend of infinite stratos called the White Knight. She also offered strength to Ichika and asked what this power was for. Ichika replied that she wanted to protect his friends with this power. On the other hand, infinite stratos overwhelmed them because infinite stratos is stronger than them. Then came Ichika, who immediately helped them. Ichika's infinite stratos had leveled up to level 2, that is, Setsura. Ichika can survive against infinite stratos. They work together and even Houki managed to awaken Akatsubaki's original abilities. That ability can replenish his shield energy to the maximum. Asuka began to run out of energy. Houki immediately gave him all his energy. The other girls distracted infinite stratos to that Ichika could launch her strongest diva attack. After that, they were punished for disobeying Chifuyu's orders. But Chifuyu was happy because they survived in the night. Houki and Ichika were alone on the beach. They also want to kiss because they are in a romantic atmosphere. Unfortunately, the others, the girls, found them there. Upset, they started attacking the two, and that's the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and like this video, so see you in the next video.